The Roman Emperor is a title given to the supreme leader of the Roman Empire. The first emperor of Rome was Augustus, who reigned from 27 BC to 14 AD. The last emperor of Rome was Romulus Augustus, who reigned from 475 to 476 AD. So who is the Roman emperor today? Well, that depends on how you define Roman emperor. If you're going by the traditional definition, then there is no Roman emperor today. The Western Roman Empire fell in for 76 AD, and since then, there has been no supreme leader of Rome. If you're going by the more modern definition, then the Roman emperor today is Alexander III, who became emperor in 2005. Alexander is the head of the Russian imperial house, which is the family that ruled Russia before the Russian Revolution of 1917. When the revolution happened, the family was forced to flee Russia, and they've been living in exile ever since. In 1991, after the fall of the Soviet Union, the Russian imperial family was finally allowed to return to Russia, and in 2005, Alexander III, who was the head of the family at the time, became the Emperor of Russia. Now, it is important to note that this is not the same thing as being the Emperor of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire fell over 1,000 years ago, but nonetheless, Alexander III sees himself as the rightful heir to the Roman Empire. He believes that the Russian Tsars were the true successors of the Roman Empire, and that when the Western Roman Empire fell, the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, continued on for another 1,000 years. And so he believes that he is the rightful emperor of both the Eastern Roman Empire and the Western Roman Empire. In addition to being emperor of Rome, Alexander III is also the Grand Prince of Finland and the King of Spain. He has two wives, Queen Letizia of Spain and Princess Victoria of Sweden. He also has 3 children, a son named George, and 2 daughters named Maria and Elizabeth. While many people don't take Alexander III's claim to the throne seriously, he is still seen as a symbol of Russian culture and identity. He is often invited to attend important state occasions, and his picture appears on Russian bank. So that's who the Roman emperor is today, a man named Alexander III, who is the head of the Russian imperial house and sees himself as the rightful heir to the Roman emperor. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Rome Emperor. It is the year 270 AD, and the Roman Empire is under attack. The Germanic tribes have just crossed the Rhine and are laying siege to the city capital of The citizens are in desperate need of water, but the aqueducts that bring water into the city have been destroyed by the invaders. With the city under attack, the Roman emperor at the time had sent an urgent message to the governor of Capitolias requesting that he bring the water supply back online. But the governor had been unable to repair the aqueducts due to the ongoing attacks from the Germanic tribes. As the siege dragged on, the people of Kadesh became increasingly desperate for water. They began to ration the remaining water in their wells, and the price of water rose dramatically. People were getting so desperate that they were selling their possessions just to get their hands on water. Meanwhile, Aurelius was growing increasingly frustrated with the situation. He had given the governor the power and the money to repair the aqueducts, but it was not being done. When the emperor finally got word that the aqueducts had been repaired and water was flowing back into the city, he was furious. He felt that the governor had intentionally disobeyed him in order to make a profit off of the high prices of water. As punishment, Aurelius stripped the governor of his power and position and gave them to someone else. And to make sure that this never happened again, he built another aqueduct that supplied water to the city. This new aqueduct was built in the year 271 AD, and it was completed just 2 years later, in 273 AD. Construction of this aqueduct was a massive undertaking that required the labor of thousands of people. It was also very expensive, costing over 2 million but Aurelius was determined to have this project completed as quickly as possible. The emperor personally oversaw the construction of the aqueduct, and he made sure that the workers were paid on time, and that they had everything they needed to complete the project. When the aqueduct was finally finished, Aurelius held a dedication ceremony in its honor. He gave a speech in which he praised the workers who had helped to build it. And he also warned them that if they ever allowed the aqueduct to fall into disrepair, they would be held accountable. The aqueduct that Aurelius built was a marvel of Roman engineering. It was over 10 miles long, and it supplied water to the city of Rome from a reservoir located outside of the city walls. The water flowed through a series of pipes that were made from lead and copper, and it was clean enough to drink. The aqueduct also had several arches that allowed pedestrians and vehicles to pass over it. These arches were decorated with statues and other works of art, making the aqueduct not only a functional structure, but also a beautiful one. The people of Rome were overjoyed when the aqueduct was completed. They were no longer having to ration their water or pay exorbitant prices for it. The water flowed freely through the city, and everyone was able to get the water they needed. The aqueduct also helped to boost the economy of the city, because the people were no longer spending all of their money on water. They were able to spend their money on other things, which helped to stimulate the economy. And that's the end of part 3. If you like this video, please subscribe.